Hey everyone. So, in the last couple weeks on the water, I've been talking to a lot of people about blade work at the finish. So I wanted to show this video that is a great demonstration of sort of one approach to extracting the blade out of the water. And it falls right in line with the idea of slipping the blade out, without rowing it to the stern and without throwing water towards the stern of the boat. This is going to keep the blades light, and it's going to keep you stable and able to squeeze the hands all the way into the body at the finish without feeling like the blades are getting stuck. So, coming through to the finish, Helen's blade work demonstrates this visually very well, and you can see exactly what I'm talking about when I'm talking about this approach to the finish. The idea is that you can stop the shaft of the oar at the finish and still keep the bottom of the blade going with the puddle so that it creates its own separation. So as you come through and start extracting the blade, there needs to be a point where the handle stops. And that's where it becomes difficult, is when do you feather? Do you feather as the blade's coming out? Most coaches are going to tell you, get the blade out of the water before you feather, but most people really don't do it that way. But the idea is if the blade is still just barely touching water at the finish, as long as your shaft is coming to a stop, but the bottom of the blade is still traveling with the puddle, it'll slip right out. So effectively, she comes through, effectively there's sort of the end of her drive right here. She's going to try to stop the shaft where it is in space, and it's going to move a little bit more towards the stern. But the idea is that the bottom of the blade, you've got the puddle here, the bottom of the blade is going to keep on moving with the puddle and allow her to sort of extract the blade back out towards the bow. So as we come through, the shaft is going to come to a stop right around here. And she's going to be able to push the hands away and down, and the blade is just going to slip right out nice and cleanly in that direction without throwing water towards the stern. What happens a lot is we'll come through the drive and we'll start to feather a little bit early. So if we're getting through this point of the drive, and instead of taking the blade straight up to this point out of the water, square, if we start to feather it back here, and the blade, instead of being on this angle, is a little bit more on this angle, all that's going to do is shovel water. So this sort of mound of water that you have in front of the blade, if the blade was back on this angle and it's going up, there's water that's going to get stuck right on the face of the blade. So if we're on this angle and the blade is still in the water, if it was back over here, you're going to have this mound of water here, and all you're trying to do is row it through that mound of water, and it's not going to want to release the blade. So Helen's approach gives a very nice visual demonstration to how we can press the hands, and I'll do a video later on grip and hands. But she gives a great demonstration as to how you can press the hands away. So right here, as she's feathering, the hands are coming to a stop, and now she's going to press the hands down and away from the body as she's feathering to let it slip that last little bit out of the water. So the overall takeaway from this is that you can keep the blades deep, you can pull in all the way to the body, but if you're feathering, you should have the hands stopped, or you should have the hands starting to move away from the body as the feathering happens, and the water should just sort of spit the blade right out almost on its own. So I just wanted to share this idea with you guys. And I thought that Helen's finishes had a great visual to demonstrate it with. Alright, so next time we'll talk a little bit about grip as we're getting the blades out at the finish.